I extend a warm greeting to everyone joining us for today's topic in the Self-Knowledge course. Our subject today is the world of relationships, a vital theme that helps us understand the condition of our relationship with our physical body, with other people, with the world around us, and most importantly, with our own inner being. We will also explore how to improve these relationships, because it is only by achieving a harmonious relationship both within ourselves and with the external world that we can attain true happiness. All human relationships have an important purpose, yet because we ignore their value and true function, they often deteriorate. Today, we will examine each of these relationships, understanding their role, assessing their current state, considering what their optimal state should be, and exploring how we can restore them. We will also learn a very interesting practice known as the eyes file. There are three main types of relationships that we all share. The first is the relationship with our physical body, the relationship we have with this planetary body that gives us presence in the third dimension. The second is the relationship we have with the external world. This includes our relationships with a partner, with family, friends, colleagues, and people in general. It also covers our relationship with our profession, with money, with politics, with our surroundings, and with nature. Everything that makes up this planet Earth where we live. The third is man's relationship with himself. And although this is the most important relationship of all, it is also the most neglected. For most people, it carries no real importance, simply because they do not know themselves. They are unfamiliar with their inner world, and as a result, their connection with their divine essence remains blocked. We will now examine each of these relationships in detail. Let us begin with the relationship with the physical body. This is the relationship we have with our planetary body. We often assume we understand our physical body, yet in truth, not even the greatest scientists know much about this body of flesh and blood. Its incredibly complex organization is far beyond our full comprehension. The primary function of our physical body is to generate and condense sexual energy, the creative force within us. Our physical body was conceived through sex, and it is through sex, through the wise use of our sexual energy, that we can create ourselves inwardly. In other words, we can create the internal bodies that will allow us to have a presence in the various dimensions of nature. To achieve this, it is essential that we learn to maintain a correct relationship with our physical body. Since the primary function of the physical body is to generate and condense sexual energy, any misuse of this energy inevitably leads to a poor relationship with it. Convinced that happiness lies in pleasure, we give free rein to our desires. In this pursuit of satisfaction, we feed the body improperly, we introduce substances that are toxic to it, and, worst of all, we continually waste the body's energy reserves, especially through fornication, which is the expulsion of sexual energy through orgasm and ejaculation. This constant loss wears us down energetically, resulting in the gradual weakening of the physical body. As our various energies are consumed by our psychological defects, they cause a negative condensation of those energies, producing illnesses that we then suffer as a consequence, our karma. Our psychological defects express themselves first through the mind and emotions, and from there they manifest on the physical level. Our thoughts are related to atoms, and every time we generate negative thoughts, we contaminate those atoms. The constant accumulation of such thoughts or contaminated atoms pollutes or even sickens the molecules that correspond to our emotions. In turn, the accumulation of negative emotions or contaminated molecules pollutes the cells of the body, producing a multitude of diseases. For example, the negative condensation of energy caused by anger damages the liver, the head, the heart, and the eyesight. Lust gives rise to the different forms of cancer. Sadness, anxiety, and depression generate stomach ailments such as gastritis and ulcers, as well as heart problems. In this way, we can see how allowing our psychological defects to waste our energy has led to a destructive relationship with our physical body, a reality reflected in the many ailments and diseases we suffer. And the root of it all is that these defects were created by fornication. Therefore, unless we engage in conscious work aimed at using our sexual creative energy wisely, we will never be able to bring this relationship to its optimal state. And what is that optimal state? It is a healthy body full of vitality, one that achieves a proper condensation of energy, which through the practice of superior sex allows us to create our internal bodies. And how can we achieve this? How can we restore our relationship with the physical body? We can accomplish it through the practice of the 3 factors for the revolution of consciousness, especially the factor of spiritual birth. By practicing psychological death, we eliminate the psychological defects that dwell within us, which constantly lead us into wrong inner states and cause us to waste our energies in all kinds of negative reactions. Through continual self-observation, we can discover these psychological defects, understand them, and then eliminate them by petitioning our particular Divine Mother. Divine Mother, eliminate this defect from me. We may seek healing for our ailments through medicine, ideally as natural as possible. However, it is of no use to treat a symptom if we do not remove the defect that caused it in the first place. Hippocrates, the wise physician of ancient Greece, said, "Before curing someone, ask him if he is willing to give up the things that made him sick." This is why it is necessary to renounce our psychological defects, to release the energy they have trapped and condensed in a negative way. Through astral projection, we can investigate, together with our inner being, which defects have caused a particular illness or physical condition, and then work to eliminate them. Sacrifice for humanity is also essential because our illnesses have a karmic origin. They are the consequence of harm we have caused to others and to ourselves through our psychological defects. By consciously helping others, we generate dharma, which allows us to stop paying for our karmas with suffering and begin paying for them through acts of love. Through the practices we studied in the conference Laws of Karma and Dharma, we can use dharma to settle those karmas, which so often manifest as various ailments and diseases. Yet, as I mentioned, the factor that will most powerfully help us improve our relationship with the physical body is spiritual birth. Sexual energy is an extraordinarily powerful force. It is regenerative, creative, and vital. When we begin to use it wisely, practicing superior sex and definitively renouncing fornication, we start to condense that energy positively in our spine. This marks the beginning of the regeneration of both our physical body and our vital body. Let us now turn to the second type of relationship, the relationship with the outside world. This includes our relationships with our fellow human beings, family, partner, friends, colleagues, and humanity as a whole. It also encompasses our interactions with the world we live in, our work relationships, our dealings with money, business, and so on. And of course, it includes our relationship with the planet itself. This relationship with the outside world, and with all who inhabit it, serves a very important function. It is through our external relationships that we have the opportunity to develop conscious love expressed through selfless service. Sadly, it is very common for our current relationship with the outside world to be in a poor state. In this second type of relationship, we are often victims of circumstances, unable to consciously create them. Many people cannot adapt to situations or to others, and they struggle to find true success in life. All too often we relate poorly to the external world, and as a result we face every kind of conflict. Disputes, enmities, troubled relationships with our partners and children, loneliness, economic difficulties, and social problems. It is our incorrect relationship with the outside world that has brought about situations of slavery and poverty, as well as the widespread pollution and environmental imbalance we see today. We must recognize that the root of our constant conflicts and the general state of both society and the planet lies in our psychological defects, especially in our selfishness and our inability to love and serve others selflessly. The outer world is a reflection of the inner world. Therefore, if we wish to experience these relationships in their optimal state, a state of harmony, freedom, and prosperity, we must begin an inner work aimed at eliminating the selfishness that prevents us from developing love for all our brothers and sisters in humanity and for the planet we call home. As we work on ourselves, practicing the 3 factors for the revolution of consciousness, we bring about an inner transformation that naturally improves our relationships with the outside world. If we observe carefully, we will notice that we seldom, if ever, act purely for the good of others. More often, our actions are motivated by direct or indirect personal gain, the desire for recognition, or the intention to create a sense of obligation in others. This is why the factor of sacrifice for humanity is so essential. It develops within us the capacity to act selflessly for the benefit of others, and that is love, for love is expressed through our actions. To heal the damaged relationships we have with others and with the planet itself, we must begin by sacrificing our psychological defects. But above all, we must be willing to sacrifice our time in order to help others. Every act of selfless assistance counts, yet the greatest help we can offer is to share the very knowledge that is enabling us to transform our own lives. In this way, we cultivate love when we dedicate our time to guiding others toward the awakening of their consciousness. Spiritual birth is also important for improving relationships with our fellow human beings, since those who learn to fill themselves with their own energy and not waste it are those who ignite the sacred fire within them, allowing the principles of love to be born and develop within them so they can consciously serve others. A person who works on themselves manages to consciously create the circumstances of their life and therefore ceases to be a victim of circumstances. They learn to value and respect themselves, and as a result, they learn to value others and the planet that shelters them. Now let us consider the relationship with oneself and examine the state in which it is found. This is the relationship we have with our inner being, with our consciousness, with that part of us that is divine and eternal. Only by establishing a connection with our true divine being can we attain self-realization. And it is through self-realization that we can reach full, genuine, and lasting happiness, for that is the ultimate purpose of our being. This relationship is the most important of all, yet it is also the most neglected. When we are poorly related to ourselves, we suffer greatly from a lack of inner illumination. Forgetting our true inner being, we become fascinated and lost in the trivialities of the world, losing sight of the real purpose of our existence. We devote ourselves to satisfying our desires, yet this misguided search for pleasure invariably leads to deeper suffering and confusion. Those who lack inner illumination must learn to connect their mind with the higher centers of their being. There are countless disheartened aspirants who, due to the absence of psychic faculties and intimate illumination, have abandoned the esoteric work on themselves. Only a few truly know how to make use of adversity. When this relationship with oneself reaches its optimal state, we remain in constant self-remembering. We see tangible results in our inner work, in meditation, in concentration, in spiritual birth, in the negotiation of our karmas, in astral projection, and more. Above all, we maintain an unbroken communication with our inner being. To restore our relationship with our own being, we must focus on practicing the three factors of the revolution of consciousness: dying psychologically, being born spiritually, and sacrificing ourselves for humanity. This is the work of our inner being. Of these three, the pivotal factor for establishing and maintaining a strong relationship with oneself is psychological death. As when we aim to obey the voice of our one consciousness, that is, of our inner being, we must deny ourselves to the desires of our ego. In moments of great temptation, discouragement, or inner desolation, we must turn to the practice of self-remembering. When we deliver ourselves the shock of true self-remembering, a profound and almost miraculous transformation occurs within the body's functions, allowing the very cells to receive a higher form of nourishment. It is vital to begin a serious and consistent effort to eliminate our psychological defects, thereby freeing and developing the various parts of our being. Special attention must be given to dissolving defects such as pride, self-sufficiency, and ill will, for only then can we cultivate genuine obedience to the guidance of our inner being, who alone can lead us along the path of self-knowledge. Spiritual birth will allow us to forge within our spine that stairway to heaven, which will allow us to unite with our being and enjoy higher states of consciousness. And, by making the sacrifice for humanity, we incarnate the force of the Father, and He gives us His wisdom. Therefore, if we lack inner light, we must strive to bring light to others. It is undeniable that we must cultivate right relationships, not only with our physical, planetary body and the external world, but also with each aspect of our own inner being. For this reason, it is essential to pause and reflect deeply on the current state of these relationships. This is an intimate, personal self-inquiry that only each one of us can answer honestly. How is my relationship with my physical body? How is my relationship with others? How is my relationship with the planet? How is my relationship with my inner being? These questions are not meant for a superficial answer, but for sincere reflection, because the quality of our relationships defines the quality of our life and the progress of our spiritual journey. I'd like to end by sharing a practical exercise that will help us apply everything we've studied today so we can develop a deep, personal understanding of why it is urgent to eliminate any psychological defect that is damaging our relationships. This practice is called the Eyes file. It consists of creating a personal file for any one of our psychological defects, analyzing in detail how it has harmed our relationship with our physical body, other people, and ourselves. By doing this, we begin to see with absolute clarity how this defect is causing harm and imbalance in our life. This insight will give us the strength and determination to renounce that negative state of being once and for all. We can make this file for any defect: alcoholism, anger, envy, jealousy, pornography, masturbation, fornication, laziness, or any harmful tendency we still justify. When preparing the file, we ask ourselves, what damage has this defect caused to my physical body? How has it damaged my relationship with others? Has it led me to loneliness, poverty, or conflict? How has it harmed my relationship with myself? How has it distanced me from my inner being? It is highly recommended to write down these reflections, as the details we uncover will help us go even deeper in meditation. When we have created a complete and honest file on a defect, seeing clearly all the ways it has harmed us, we will already have enough understanding to condemn it to death and eliminate its manifestations from our life, freeing ourselves permanently. I hope this practice will serve you well, and with that, we conclude today's topic. As always, I warmly invite you to join us for our next topic, where we will study how to dissolve any psychological I through the technique of the details. This practice is essential for achieving scientific chastity. It is a profoundly important subject, one you will not want to miss. Until next time.